My brother-in-law, Bob, is a natural-born salesman. He could sell snow to an Eskimo. I mean, you ever see that commercial where it says, like the guy's driving down the road and a police officer pulls him over for speeding. He goes, "Do you know how fast you were going?" "Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't know it was you." And then he pulls up in a parking space and it says, "No parking except for Bob." That's my brother-in-law. So he was a Navy corpsman. He gets out. He's working at hospitals, but he finds out very quickly that they're not going to accept any of his medical training, any of his experience. And so he decides to start fresh, and he gets a job selling bicycles because he was a bike rider. And he was for a little while, I don't want to say professional, but he rode in races. So he started selling the bikes, and he was very good. So this guy brings him in and says, he gives him a very small amount of money, but he's a good salesman. So my brother-in-law comes to him and says, "I'd like you to reduce me to minimum wage and then give me a commission, a certain percentage." He got a commission. And for the first, couple months, he's making checks. He's making about what he was before, but slowly his pay began to increase. And the man had 5 salesmen selling bikes for him. And all of a sudden, one day, he's writing out everyone's checks, and my brother-in-law's check is huge because he's getting a small percentage of what he sells. And it turns out that 9 out of 10 sales that were made out of this man's professional bike shop were made by my brother-in-law. And that check is huge. And he's like, "Wait a minute here. I don't like this a bit." So he tries to argue my brother-in-law to go back to a set pay. My brother-in-law was like, "Ain't happening. No." He goes, "Well, I can't keep you on." So my brother-in-law bought a bike shop 2 miles down the road and put him out of business. All right. So you all hear me tell the "I used to live with rats" story. I always call it the living, we live with rats. Where plumbing didn't work, there was no heat. We slept on the floors. Life was hard. We walked to school 10 miles uphill both ways, in the snow even in July. And so there was a time I was living rent-free, had my food paid for by someone else, and I earned $100 a week. And I paid $10 to the church in tithe. That was hard. But you know what was really hard? Is a couple weeks ago, Melody got her bonus. A big bonus. She doesn't want me to tell you how much it was, but it was a big bonus. What was really hard was writing a tithe check for that bonus. That was really hard. And I'm going, wait a minute. $10 when I have 100 is one thing, but that check's kind of big. Considering I got to write another one in 2 weeks, and I don't know about this. And this wasn't a super serious conversation for me, but it was there. That pettiness, kind of like that little feeling of pettiness when she chose my seat. It's like, no, I'll steal Diane's seat, not mine. That little bitty voice that you'll quickly put down. I'm looking at that check and I'm thinking, I don't know. But you know what? We have never been more blessed. The Lord has never given us more. We have never had more fall to us from the hand of the Lord. And that momentary that I felt was shameful to me. I was ashamed of myself. And I said to myself, Andrew, the Lord has never poured more blessing on you, even though that check is a lot bigger than you feel good about for 5 seconds. Send it off with a blessing. Send it off with cheerfulness, because it is simply just a small piece. That guy didn't say of my brother-in-law, Bob, his check is huge because he has made me so much money. He just reacted to the size of the check. We got to have a heart, and like I said, I'm saying this for myself because of that 5-second moment, and it really was about 5 seconds, to say, Lord, this is an act of worship. Every good thing that comes to me comes from your hand. And why would I begrudge a small portion of that to build your kingdom? You use your people. You use the resources that you've given to your people. You pass things through our hands to build your kingdom. And how dare I, even for 5 seconds, be stingy and be pulley-backy in pouring out for the building of God's kingdom?